kids, do you want to play fucking metal? Fuck yeah, you do. Then buy a fucking Agile. They're obviously better than Untitled Chapter, every other company that makes 8-string, because you bought it. And obviously, you know what's best. Years of research and craftsmanship. Gay. Here's a song I wrote using this Agile called Generic. It's funny, cause there's no G, but a DJ. Like in Jet. Like in Jet. Do you get it? Metal? Guys, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But today I'm going to be doing a review on an Agile. This is an Agile Interceptor Pro 830 in natural satin finish. I guess first thing we'll go over specs on the guitar. This one has a obnoxiously large 30-inch scale, which oddly isn't as uncomfortable as I was expecting it to be. Obviously it is an 8-string, has EMG 808 pickups, it's got volume, tone, switch, I actually got this guitar as a repair. For those of you who don't know, I do a lot of repair at my house. From the music store I worked in, I was the head repair tech for a while. So since I left there, now I do a lot of in-home repairs. So I had a buddy of mine drop this off so that I could set it up and restring it. And I figured I'd do a review on it because I haven't seen a lot of actual reviews on Agiles. I've had a few people ask me my opinion on Agile. I've actually owned 2 of them. And they're not bad guitars. I definitely don't think they're bad at all. I think for the price point, they're not. I mean, they're great quality. For this one, for example, is a neck through. One of the ones I had was a neck through 8-string Intrepid. Same thing with EMGs. I did not have the Kaler tremolo on mine though. I kind of think a tremolo on an 8-string is kind of ridiculous. It's pretty much only good for doing small little tiny vibrato stuff. I had this one once I completely set it up. I was messing with the trem, locked the nut, dive bombed the thing, and immediately it was completely out of tune. So even with the locking nut, it's still pretty my big thing with Agiles, personally, the necks on them, and not the bolt-on ones. This is something that's very interesting. One of the ones, Jeff, my old other guitar player in Iodine Sky, he had an Agile 8-string. I think it was like a Scepter, whatever. It was one of the bolt-on ones, this blue maple neck, maple fretboard. The neck on that was actually pretty big as well, but it didn't really have much finish on it, so it was nice. I actually ended up taking a belt sander to it and bringing the neck down a bit. But on their neck-through models like this one, they are ridiculous. The neck is huge, and in my opinion, a little uncomfortable. They've obviously, it feels like they've worked on them since I last had an Agile. It used to seem like it was almost a, I don't even, like a trapezoid neck. It came straight down to the bottom and right across, and it was relatively uncomfortable. This one has, as I said, mahogany wings, maple, rosewood, maple, neck. It looks as though it's a rosewood fretboard. They might say it's ebony, I don't know. Anyway, This guitar is actually relatively uncomfortable to play, in my opinion, even after setting it up. It's got, I think it's a 15-inch radius, which normally I like flat radiuses. I like 20-inch radius, to be honest. That's my personal preference for H-string radiuses. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because it's, you know, they're inexpensive guitars, which they are. They're well made for the price, but they're relatively inexpensive guitars. It's just hard. I was playing with this bridge. First of all, I don't know why you would put a Kaler on this. I've personally never had a lot of luck with Kaler bridges. All of my years of working on guitars, they've always been the most pain in the butt to work on. A Strat bridge, like a tremolo or a Floyd Rose bridge, they're easy. You can adjust the springs in the back, you see everything. On these, it's just kind of like, hey, just adjust this little screw and hope it doesn't fucking explode, I guess. I personally don't like these. I got this one set up at least so it was functional, and very minimal buzz on them. But it's funny because the action isn't really even that high, but it feels like it's high. Maybe because of the tension. I'm assuming that's because of the 30-inch scale, because it's actually about the same as my RG 2228 action. Not super high. It's relatively comfortable height, but I think because of the scale length, and I just restrung this with one of these Diodario nickel wound XL 148s, which Diodario is actually my preferred string, but they have it a set from 10 to 74. And I got a hold of the guy I'm fixing this guitar for, and I told him I'm not using the 74 because it's tapered off. It was like right before the first fret, it was tapered down already, which is pointless. It just made the whole thing buzz because you'd press it down here, and this whole heavily wound 74 area was now just rubbing against all the frets because you're fretting it as if it was whatever, like a 56 or whatever it tapers down to. So what I did was I actually took an 80 gauge string, which is what I use on the bottom of mine, and I didn't want to drill out his tuner like I did to mine, so instead I unwound the end of the string until it was where I'd put it through the tuning machine, cut it, stuck it through there. So it's currently got an 80, but my 80 doesn't taper until way past that, so it's good. You want it? You can have it. You can have the cat. I don't want it. Don't bite him. He'll kick your ass. But yeah, the 30-inch scale thing seems to offer quite a lot of disadvantages. Obviously the scale length, and that's the other thing about the Kaler, once again, coming back to the Kaler. Because it's not an easily adjustable bridge, maybe it is to some people, maybe I'm just fucking retarded, I don't know. But because it's not necessarily an easily adjustable bridge, I like being able to see what I'm doing, which again is why I like Floyd Rose bridges if I need a trem, or a Strat type bridge, anything where you can see the springs and you can adjust them, you can adjust where the claw is that holds it, everything. This thing is a monstrous guitar. It's gonna have an obnoxiously large amount of tension. I mean, on a standard guitar, I think it's like 130 pounds of tension on the bridge for just a standard 6-string at like a 25-inch scale or 25.5-inch scale. This is 30 inches with 8 strings, and they still put an uncomfortable bridge on there. I mean, not in terms of playing, it's actually quite comfortable to sit your hand on, but an uncomfortable to adjust bridge. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, I was adjusting this, and I was kind of doing this thing, hoping that it didn't pop and hit me in the face. In terms of sound, another relative letdown, in my opinion, on this guitar. It just sounds dead. I guess you'd say it sounds like when it was born, they just beat it to death, and then they threw lacquer on it. Like, it just sounds like it's a worn-out guitar. Acoustically, it's not too bad, but when you plug it in, I mean, it just doesn't have the sustain. I adjusted and again, that could also be the Kaler, I don't know. But I adjusted the pickup height, I adjusted string height, everything. I got it to where it was relatively comfortable, and when I plugged it in, it's just hard to get it to sound alive. For clean stuff plugged in, I mean, I was on the neck pickup and I had to saturate the crap out of it to get it to sound nice and warm. But I mean, for what it is, they really are decent guitars. They offer pretty ridiculous options for 8 strings and 7 strings and all that stuff at a relatively low price point. I think the price point they used to be at was a little bit more reasonable for what they offer. What else can I say? The EMGs, I've had the EMG 808s before. I sold them as soon as I possibly could. The first thing I did when I got my 8 string was get those the hell out of there, order new passive pickups for it. But that's just personal preference. I'm just not an EMG fan. The one nice thing I will say that I like that Agile does on 8 strings is their tone cavity is freaking huge. They make it so you can do whatever you want. Like obviously there's just volume, tone, and a 3-way. But if you wanted, that tone cavity is so big you could throw a push-pull in there, you can throw another 3-way to do whatever you want. You could have separate switches for each pickup to turn them off and on or in phase and out of phase. I think that's really cool. I wish more guitar companies would do that. And most of my guitars all have relatively small tone cavities, except for my Parker, which is completely filled to the brim with electronics, so you can't really do anything with it. But other than that, I mean, for what it is, they're relatively decent guitars. Hello? Hey, you already answered, like 6 probably, yeah. Why? You still all pissed? Full of hatred? A little ball of hate? Yeah, I'd save up and get something a little higher price point, I guess. You really do get what you pay for. I mean, if you're just looking for something to check out an 8 string, I guess it's worth it, but then you gotta think, if it's an uncomfortable 8 string, you're probably not gonna want to play one, so it might have just ruined your possible love for a new instrument. I'm a firm believer in, you know, getting what you pay for, and if you want to actually use something, then pay money for it. I mean, the 2 Agiles that I had, they were essentially just backups. For when I was doing the one Intrepid I had was essentially just a backup that I didn't even buy. I actually traded a guitar for it, just to have as a backup when I was playing in a band where me and the other guitar player both used 8 strings. So I had it just in case one of us popped a string at a show. That was pretty much all it was. It never got any stage time, nothing like that. I think I tried tracking with it a couple times, and it was just, same thing, sounded dead. But yeah, that's, I guess, my review on the Agile Interceptor or Scepter Pro 830, whatever. Hope you enjoyed.
Gay.